Alright, so let's talk about basic website setup and WordPress training. I'm going to share this information with everybody, but this is a particular training for a client, Will, who has specific questions, but I'm sure that a lot of this information will be helpful for everyone. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is log into your hosting and your domain service provider. Now, if you bought your domains from, let's just say, GoDaddy, and your hosting is over at HostGator, there's going to be some additional steps, because first, what you're going to need to do is get the domain name servers, the DNS information from your hosting provider, and then you'll go over to wherever your domains are, and you'll change the DNS settings. Okay? Now, in the case where, and again, you know what, I'm not going to go into that in detail here because for this particular client, that's not the case. So when you have your domains and your hosting all in the same account, it's just one less step you have to mess around with. But you definitely want to make sure you point everything first from your domain area to the actual DNS settings with your hosting. Okay, so with that said, once you're logged into your account, in this case it's GoDaddy for this particular client, so I'm just using a GoDaddy account. You're going to open up the web hosting package here. Okay, so once you've opened up your, what I'll call your hosting dashboard, you will see an area here that has options and settings. Now, sometimes when you log in, this little button in GoDaddy will need to be clicked right here by options and settings. So it shows you some of the cool apps and tools and things that you can change. Okay, but right now what we're going to focus on is a WordPress installation. So you've got a domain name, you've purchased it, it's sitting on the same service, let's say GoDaddy, where you purchased the domain and where you have your hosting account. So setting up WordPress is so simple. You're basically going to click on the WordPress button here. You are going to then choose the domain that you want to install to. So, if it were germfreegear.com, I would install it right there. Okay. Obviously, on this account, that domain is already in use, and I did already install WordPress there. But basically, I would click the domain that I want to install on, and I would install it. Now, this directory, for example, is if I wanted to put something on germfreegear.com/mobile. Okay, I can install something separate under that directory. But if I just want it in the root, germfreegear.com, I'll leave this blank. All right, and then what you're going to want to do is create a username for login purposes for your WordPress administrative dashboard so that you can edit the website later. You're going to obviously create your password, confirm your password, and provide your email address. Okay? Once that's all done, you're going to click OK. It's going to create everything for you. It's going to show you a reminder of your username and password usually. You want to make sure you write those down. It should automatically email it to you. Sometimes you have to click a link that says email me this information. But it's as simple as that. And then your WordPress is set up. Okay? Now, the way you log in to your WordPress to manage it is you go to the same web address that you just installed on. So let me move the window so you can see this. All right, so I'm going to go over to the internet, and I'm going to go over to germfreegear.com, okay, and then /WP-admin. And that's the way you're going to log into all of your WordPress sites. Just the domain name /WP-admin. And once you go to that particular page, you will see you have the login username and password that you should have written down. And so once you do that, now you'll be able to log in to the actual WordPress dashboard. So it was as simple as that. WordPress is installed. Now we have to go through some of the main settings. Okay, now what we're going to do is just kind of go over the basic WordPress dashboard. This is, I'm going to go over each one of these things fairly quickly, and when we need to actually use them as we're moving forward, I'll go into more detail. But this is an overview of this dashboard. You can probably see here that up top is the name of the website, Germ Free Gear. If I ever wanted to visit this website, I could click the link, and then with my mouse I could always right-click and open in a new tab if I wanted to just kind of have another tab open. I'm just testing with this. I haven't installed this completely, but I have a theme on here, so that's where some of this is coming from. All right, and just kind of playing around in the very beginning stages of setting this website up for a friend of mine. So anyhow, let me go back to the dashboard. You'll see over here that if I am on the site, let me just show you that one last time. I think I kind of hurried through it. If I am actually on the site and I'm logged in as the admin, up the top here there will be this additional black bar that obviously your visitors won't be able to see. But you can always edit the page you're looking at, add a new post or pictures, video, a new page, a new project, or a new user. I can see comments up here that are awaiting moderation. And then I can access this drop-down menu for just to see my entire dashboard, or specifically themes or customizer widgets. So let me just go back to the dashboard. In the dashboard, this updates area, sometimes if there's some of your plugins or some of your themes, or you need a new version of WordPress, it'll let you know when things need to be updated and installed, and it's important to keep up with those things for security purposes. At the same time, you have to balance that with the fact that if it's a brand new WordPress update, you may want to hold off for a little bit just to make sure that all the plugins and different things that you have installed are compatible with that new WordPress version. Alright, so that's what the Updates button does. Basically, WordPress websites are so simple once you understand the basic concepts. They're either built, and it depends on the theme that you're going to choose, and I'm going to talk about themes in just a minute, but most themes are either built primarily around pages or posts. And the way to understand pages and posts is, and again, it depends on the theme and the way the theme uses those things, but as a general rule of thumb, posts, think more of a blog. So you have blog posts, okay? And multiple posts can show up on one page, because the cool thing with posts is you can use categories. So if I wrote, let's just say, 10 articles on bass fishing, and I wrote 10 more articles on saltwater fishing, and 10 more articles on fly fishing, I could give each one of those articles a category for bass fishing, saltwater fishing, and fly fishing. At the same time, let's say I wanted to write an article about fly fishing for bass, I could apply both categories to that same article, and it would show up in my website underneath those category headings. And there's all kinds of cool ways to use categories to kind of set up the layout, design, and navigation of the website. But that's getting a little deeper. But the cool part is, again, posts are more like blog posts, and they use categories and tags to help sort and help with navigation depending upon the theme. This media tab is really where you're going to add photos and pictures and videos for use within the website. Okay, you can link to an external URL, and that's okay if it's under your control. But if you're pulling it from somewhere else and they change the website or change the address, then you're going to lose your photos. So it's best to upload your photos to the actual database here of this WordPress site, and it will store them in your media library. And that's what media is. Pages, posts are like blog posts. Okay, pages, think of more of a static page. Nothing's really going to change. It's kind of like a home page or a contact us page. Fairly static. It's not really dynamic in any way. For example, if I use posts, I might have a navigation header called bass fishing, and then if you clicked on that main bass fishing category, which I could have as a button in my navigation, it would bring you to a page that showed you all of my articles that I wrote about bass fishing. Okay, that's not the case with pages. The way pages work, again, is they're more static, although I can create navigation with pages by setting up hierarchies. So I can make one a parent page and then one a child page. And again, we'll get into that in more depth later. But that's what pages are. Comments, obviously, are just that. They're comments that people leave on your posts and pages. A project, in this case, with this particular theme, you will not see the project tab in all WordPress themes. Okay, this is specific to the theme I've chosen, and that's really if I wanted to, let's say, have my portfolio of pictures or photos or work. Okay, that's where I could set up what this theme refers to as projects, and it's kind of something separate. Appearance is going to be an important area for you. This is where you're going to find your themes, how you can customize some of the main aspects of your site, like the background color and the font that's kind of global throughout, and a few other things. And again, you can kind of click on each one of these tabs and check it out. This is just an overview. Widgets are really cool. So widgets, we'll get into in a minute. Here I can customize menus. Again, this export page builder layouts, this is specific to the theme I'm using, so we won't go over that right now. This also, Divi theme options, is specific to the theme I'm using. You may not have that tab. Here you can tweak the background specifically, and then editor under appearance is where you're going to go in and change your PHP, CSS, HTML files. And most of the time, most people, unless you have a background in HTML or something like that, you're not even going to mess with the editor function for the most part. All right? So don't even worry about that. Plugins are really cool, so I can go out and find all kinds of plugins that work with my WordPress site. So let's say I wanted to have a security plugin, something that protects my site, helps keep it protected. I could install that. Or if I wanted an SEO plugin that helps me make sure that my SEO is set up properly, I could install that plugin. Maybe I want a video player plugin so that I can show videos straight from a player and from my own hosting. I can install that here. There's literally millions of plugins. Okay, calendar plugins, e-commerce plugins. Those things are all available, and you can search for those here when you click Add New. Users, this is where you can set up the administrators who are allowed to use your site. You can have subscribers, additional users, people who have admin access. You can set it up so that you have like contributing authors who can't come in and edit everything, but they can add posts or pages. So that's where you would do that. The tools section is where you can import and export data in and out, and then also there'll be some other tools that you can add depending upon the theme and what you pull in as tools. Okay, settings. This is an important area where when you originally come into the site, there's a few settings that I do want to go over with you that are pretty important. So let's go over and just start at the top with settings and click on General. Okay, so a lot of times with WordPress, there's more than one place where you can change things. So let me first say that. But under General, you're going to see this site title, Germ-Free Gear. Okay, and depending upon the theme that you're using, this will populate maybe the header or a place within the theme where it has a site title. So you know that's something that you can kind of play with, and again, it depends on the theme. Here's where you can put in a tagline and explain what the site is about. And the great part about this is after you play around with these and you go live, you'll be able to go over and kind of take a peek at your website and see where this is populating based on the theme you choose. And really the theme makes all the difference in the world. Most of the time, if you've installed your WordPress site like we described, you would have already decided where you wanted it to be installed. We just want it on the germfreegear.com, right on the root. If for some reason later you wanted your site's homepage to be different than the directory where you installed it, you could change that here, so it would redirect. Basically, here is your administrative email address. This is where you're going to get new subscriber notifications, and if you're moderating the comments, all of that stuff will be sent to this email address, and you can always change that. As far as membership goes, you can have it so that anyone can register to your site. And you have to decide, what kind of usage you want out of the site. And then when someone does come on as a new user, you can give them a default role. So they'll either be like a subscriber to get your news, or they'll be a contributor, an author, an editor, and then the highest permission level is administrator. They can do anything, okay? Including, you want to be careful giving out the administrator permissions, because that person technically could delete your site and change things that, change the password even. All right. See, that is the highest level of access. You do want to make sure that you set the time zone properly. So kind of scroll through the list for a city that is in the same time zone where you are. And you'll see here that it's saying 1620 is the UTC time zone, but local time for me, I'm in Florida, so the same as New York time here at 11:20 a.m. This time zone is currently in standard time. Daylight savings times begins on March 9th. Oh, that's a cool reminder. I didn't even remember that. And then you can set up the date format here, however you like the date to be populated on the site, and then the time format as well. You can set up when the calendar, when the week starts. Okay. And then farther down has to do with a particular theme I have installed, so I'm not even going to go over that right now. All right, so that's the General tab. Under the Writing tab, again, a lot of options. Most of the time, here's the bottom line. Most of the time, you can leave this stuff default. And if there's something that you should change, or I personally, my preference is that it's changed, I'll share it with you. Okay, so you can convert emoticons to graphics. WordPress should correct invalidly nested HTML automatically. I actually do usually check that button, so that's something that you may want to check. The default post category, until you've gone in and tried and further set up the site, there won't be anything other than the category uncategorized. But let's say you mostly write articles about bass fishing, or fly fishing, or flats fishing. Okay, you could choose which category most of your articles would be posted under, and it'll automatically be the default category unless you change it. All right, and usually I will change this, because sometimes I'll go in and I'll write an article and I'll hit save and hit publish, and I forget to give it a category sometimes, and I don't want anything going under uncategorized, so I'll change it to a standard category that makes sense. Default post format. So again, this is going to be dependent upon the theme that you're using. So you can have a standard theme, a chat theme, a gallery, a link, an image, a quote. Again, depending upon the theme and what you're trying to do. I would just leave this under standard. This press this thing is a bookmarklet that you can actually grab stuff off the web, drag and drop into posting. It's kind of like a way to post shortcut. You can also post via email. I don't do that. You can, but for me, it personally opens up the site to more security issues, so I don't mess with it. Some people do that. Scrolling down, this is important. I leave this stock. It didn't used to be in here, but now it is. So whenever you publish a new post or page, this is going to go out and ping Matic automatically, which is a way to kind of let the search engines kind of know that you're out there. And there's other ways to do that, but that's basically what this does. So it pings an external site and helps your stuff get found a little quicker. Okay, so that's settings under writing. Now, reading, let me move this back up. Okay, so here we are again over on the left. I'm under General Settings, and I'm down on the Reading tab over here. Okay, again, this is how things are going to display for people to read your site. So front page displays your latest posts. Okay, so every time you put something new, that'll be on the front page. And again, depending upon your theme, that's going to really make a difference on how things show up. But what I like to do is, for this particular website and most of the sites I usually create one static page that I want to show up as my home page. And so in this case, with this particular theme, I did create a page called Home, and I've set that as what shows up on the front page when someone comes to just my germfreegear.com portion of the website. All right. How many blog pages to show? 10 posts at most. Syndication feeds show the most recent 10 items. And again, you can change this to whatever you want it to be. I just leave it stock and standard for right now as the default. For each article in a feed, you can choose to show full text or a summary, and search engine visibility. If you want the search engines to find this, you certainly do not want to click this button, which would discourage them from indexing the site. That's not what you want to do. As far as discussion goes, this is going to be important because it sets up the settings so that people can leave comments. Okay, and usually I leave all of these things checked, but let me just go through. Okay, allow people to post comments on new articles. Okay, I usually will leave that checked because I want people to be able to comment. The more engagement we get with comments and social media activity, the easier it is for the search engines to find me and like what I'm doing. So I'll leave that set, and obviously with each article I can override whether people can comment or not. Now the one thing you'll find when you set these up is you'll get all of these spam comments of people trying to get backlinks through your site. So it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. But what we do to discourage that is I always require the author to fill out their name and their email address. Now you're still going to get spam comments, okay? But that's just one step to weed people out, to make it a little bit harder for them to make a comment. And then basically enable threaded comments. I do that, and you can change how many levels deep you want that to go. And everything else can stay pretty standard and stock with the comment settings. I like to know when someone posts a comment and when a comment is held for moderation, so I leave those checked. That's personal preference. Before a comment appears, okay, this one is one that I always have checked, okay? So usually what I do is I leave comment author must have a previously approved comment. So if someone's come in and left a true and honest comment on the page, usually they're not the person who's going to come in and spam me with a bunch of spam links. So that's usually what I check. If you want to take it to the next level, here you would have to manually approve every single comment from everybody, including your regular kind of people who engage with you. I don't want to have to do that. Once I see someone's not a spammer, I'll let them go ahead and comment. And if for whatever reason they start spamming, I can always hold a comment in the queue down here, or put them on the blacklist. Okay? So if someone has a comment and it has a bunch of links in it, hyperlinks out to their site, that's what they're trying to do, is build backlinks. So if it has more than 2 links, it's not a normal comment. Okay, so it'll automatically go into the moderation queue if it has more than 2 links, so that I have to approve or disapprove it. Also, I could set it up in this comment moderation when a comment contains any words in the content, name, URL, email, or IP address, I can automatically pull it into the moderation queue. Okay, so that's something that's very useful. And here, when someone just continues to spam you, you can put their IP address, their URL, their email address, whatever, in the comment blacklist. And I find that the IP address is the one that's most useful, because a lot of times they'll change, the spammers will use 10 different emails, but only 2 or 3 different IP addresses. So if that becomes a problem, you can deal with it. Avatars, I just leave it where it's the mystery man, and maximum rating, where you can kind of tell people what type of website this is. It's suitable for all audience, possibly offensive, PG, R, and X. All right, and that's kind of the bottom line. One of the things you do want to keep in mind, and I didn't talk about this, but anytime you make changes, you want to click on the Save Changes button. All right, and that's really important. All right, so we're going to go down now from discussion to media. Under these settings, let me scroll back up so you can see what I see. Here we go. Under the media settings, again, this is for this tab for the library. It's just going to set some default settings, and I leave all of this the same to start with. And then if I have a theme that is really media heavy and I want the sizes to fit the layout that I'm using within that theme, I might change the default sizes here. It'll save me a lot of work later. But you know, if I'm going to have all different sizes of pictures and posts and things, then I just leave this default and I change it at the level when I upload it to the page or post. Okay, and I always have it organized uploads into month and year based folders. All right, and then permalinks. This is one that you definitely are going to want to go in and change. Okay, so the default setting under permalinks, and what a permalink is the actual web address, the URL address that the post will be assigned when you hit save and when you hit publish. Okay, and the default is, you know, your root germfreegear.com / and then it gives it a page number. Okay, and for SEO purposes, you don't want to do that. Okay, so I don't like the day and name because, again, for SEO purposes, that's not really helping me. What I do like to do personally is I always use post name. So post name is what I'm going to have the page entitled. So in other words, if I wrote a post about bass fishing Florida, and that was the title of my post, all right, it would show up as germfreegear.com, and this it probably would be fishinginflorida.com, okay, as an example, and then /, and if the title of my post is bass fishing Florida, that would be right here, okay, and would automatically fill that in. So that's the one that I prefer to use because that's the most SEO friendly process. Now, if you're using a lot, let me scroll down just a little bit. If you're using a lot of categories for the navigation and structure of your website, you may want to give this a category base or a tag base. Okay, and so again, it depends on how you're setting up the site. But most people, most times, I would say just start with post name. And if you're doing something more advanced with categories, then you may want to use the category base. Okay, but what I am going to do is I'm going to click Save Changes to make sure that it saves this for me, and those are the general settings. Now there's one more thing that I want to show you next, and that has to do with the themes. Because really, before you can start working on the website, your very next step after you've gone through those settings, tweaked everything out, is to go over to the themes. So let me click on the themes page here. And what you can see is these are the themes that are installed, okay, on this site. Now, these are themes that I can use at any point in time. And you can go in and find themes that you like by clicking on the Add New button. And then you can search for themes. And you can use these filters down here. So, you know, do you like a 1-column theme, a 2-column, or a 3-column theme? Something with a left sidebar or a right sidebar? Or do you want to just look for themes that are all black, okay, and have a lot of black or browns or blues or yellows? Also, you know, by feature, sometimes those are helpful. So you want something with a full width template or something where you can customize the background. All right. So my point is there's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of free themes out there, and some of them are not too bad. Okay. Personally, I like to use premium themes, and this is the beautiful thing about WordPress is that there's some great themes out there that you can get access to. You got to pay. Sometimes you can pay per theme, or you can use something like I use, like elegant themes. I love elegant themes. They're not perfect for every website, but frankly, they just came up with this Divi theme that is installed here. It's a new theme, and I'm just playing with it right now. And I can create almost any layout I want with that Divi theme very easily. But bottom line is you could search for themes here. Okay? Now, how do you, let me go back to the main page here on the themes. Once you pick the themes you want, you actually have to install them. All right, so the Divi theme. Let me give you an example. This theme is an elegant theme. It's not going to be found by searching in the WordPress free themes. Okay, so I had to go over and I had to download that theme. All right, let me hit Add New for a second. And I had to download it to my computer. And now once I have whatever theme I want to use downloaded, I would click the Upload button. Somewhere on my computer, I would have it saved as a zip file. That's the way most themes come these days. All right, and what I would do is I would go over to the area where I have that stored. We'll scroll down, and you can see right here, Elegant Fusion. Okay, so that is Fusion is an Elegant Themes theme that I have here and that I could install. So I would just double click on this, and it would show it right here, and I would hit click Install Now. Okay, so once I click Install Now, which I'm not going to do for this website, what would happen is it would show up as another one of my themes right here in my themes library. Okay, in order to activate this, I would basically click on, if I wanted, right now I want Divi to stay active, that's my active theme, okay, and it shows that right here, okay. But if I wanted to use Blueberryware as an example, I could click Activate right here. Okay. If I wanted to see what my current content would look like on that theme, I could click the Live Preview, and we'll go ahead and do that and see what it looks like. Not so hot. Okay, it's not. This thing is not set up at all to use Blueberry, so I'm going to cancel that. And basically, I've got Divi set up as my theme. Now, if you want to customize your themes, depending upon the theme you're using, you can click the Customize button, which is also up in the dashboard. Point is once you're in Customize, you can change things like the site colors. Okay, and I'm going to leave them all the same, but I could go in and select a brand new main font color, all right, and make it red if I wanted to. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it the same. Let me hit cancel here because I don't want to change anything. I can also change the default header and body fonts. I can change the color schemes for this website. So if I went to orange, it would potentially change the background here. I don't want that. I want the white background to stay the same. And I could change whether or not I wanted a static front page or, like I said, more like a blog type of front page. Okay, so that's the scoop on themes. With the theme I'm using, I have some really cool options, and they're all customizable right here from my theme options. Not every theme is going to have this page, but here I can go in and change all kinds of neat stuff automatically. Like I said, I love elegant themes. So that's kind of an overview of WordPress and the WordPress dashboard. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to show you in the dashboard I forgot to mention is just kind of this whole overview. Let me scoot the recording area over a little bit. Okay, so I talked about everything on the left-hand side, all of those links on the left, but this dashboard page does have kind of a cool overview. It shows you here, and again, this is a new page, but it shows you the pages. If I had posts and comments and different things going on this site, it would show at a glance right here. It tells me that I'm running the Divi theme and the version of WordPress. Here's where I could actually write a quick post. So if I wanted a quick post about bass fishing, I could write it right here and save it as a draft for later. This would show activity right here, which is comments and different things that are going on. The other thing about WordPress is you can reorganize the order in which you have things. So I could put WordPress news all the way here to the left and move things around. And up top here, I could, again, this is the customize your site button for those kind of global changes to the background color, or link color, things like that. Gives you some simple steps for editing your front page or adding pages. Also, another link for where you can add widgets or menus or turn comments on or off. And again, everything that's kind of in this dashboard, frankly, is all the way over here on the left-hand side of the page. So it's just kind of an overview page where you can do some things. But most of the time, I just access things over here from the left side because I can always find everything that I need to do right there. And that's the basic overview of a simple WordPress initial setup through GoDaddy, as well as an overview of the general settings and kind of the way the editing dashboard works within WordPress. And if you have any other questions, you certainly can let me know. Kevin O'Neill at kevino'neill777@gmail.com. Send me a quick email. I'll be happy to try to help you out. This is just step 1 of our basic WordPress training. So part 1. Look forward to part 2 shortly. Thanks.